What do Drew Barrymore, John Bon Jovi, Brad Pitt, Dwayne Wade, Angelina Jolie, the Fat Jewish, John Legend, and Sir Ian Botham all have in common? That is a mad dinner party right there. They all make rosé. They're all rosé producers, celebrity rosé producers. And you know what? I'm going to puncture a taboo. It's rosé day today. All about rosé. It's a gorgeous sunny day. Still going to talk about rosé. I'm puncturing a taboo because people sometimes have a go and they say, celebrities making rosé. It's a good statistic, this. 92% of people will never meet a winemaker, never go to a winery, never walk in a vineyard. And yet, in the UK alone, it's our most popular alcoholic drink, is wine. 33 million of us. Absolutely. In every region of the UK, it's the most popular, and in every age group in the UK. And you know what? If celebrity wines open the door, open that little door for us to go in like Alice in Through the Looking Glass or in Wonderland or wherever, and we can enter the magical world of wine, I say more power to their elbow. I actually quite like some of those. We don't have any today. We've got lots of other ones. I'm going to get stuck straight in. Look at this with a big fella. Love by Léoube. This is £22 from Daylseford Organic. I think you can get it in Harvey Nicks. There's a couple of other places. It is also in bottles, £15.99. I like this. There are various people who I am waving to because I know lots of the guys behind it. But there's a little story. It's kind of family connection here. I've always got family connection. My grandfather was at school. He's called Joe, like me, Joe Fattorini. And he was at school with a guy called Joe Bamford. And when they left school, my grandfather was going to work in his firm. Joe Bamford was going to work in his family's tractor business. And he had this idea to put a backhoe on a tractor, apparently. And his middle name was C, and so Joe C. Bamford became JCB. And Lord Bamford, Lord and Lady Bamford, own this. And I should be wearing my watch, actually, which their son makes, but I haven't got it. Really sorry. Oops. Not wearing my Bamford watch, but they're all sort of connected. Let's have a taste. Light, fresh drinking. Now, you know the best way to go and have this? In a piscine. And a piscine is where you have a big glass, bigger than this, masses of crushed ice, and you pour it in. And if you've got lots of friends around, when we can have friends around, get yourself a magnum of this, crush loads of ice, fill it up. And there are two stories why it's called a piscine. One is that Brigitte Bardot was in southern France, and they served it when she was in Saint-Tropez in a brandy balloon. And she said it was like a piscine of rosé because it was a swimming pool because it looked so huge. The other story, and I am indebted to Hannah Moore for this, she thought that it was from Mustique because it was Princess Margaret's favourite drink. Well, one of them. Princess Margaret had quite a few favourite drinks, I think. Very good biography of Princess Margaret, Mam Darling by Craig Brown. I cannot recommend that enough. It was one of my favourite books last year. It's really good. Anyway, have a piscine. And yes, you can go and put ice in your rosé. It's such a gorgeous way of doing it. It's a nice, long, easygoing drink. So it's delicious. This is loved by Léoube. There are various Léoube wines. This is, I think, my favourite. Am I allowed to be my favourite? I don't know, there are sort of assorted ones. Actually, Secret, which is Secret by Léoube, which is more structured. And the people are now getting this idea you can make different styles. Let's talk about colour. Melon, I'm going to say for this one. Melon. Melon is one of the agreed colours of rosé. Now, I've got so many, I'm going to rattle through. I'm going to pop that to one side. Now, I've got a question here. This is from a B. Moore of Shepton Mallet, and he says, is it acceptable for men to drink rosé? Yeah. Little story, it's in the original of it's Goldfinger. And James Bond, this is in the book, not in the film, he goes to the Hotel de la Gare and he orders a pint of Rosé d'Anjou, I think it is. It's not Rosé de Provence, over ice. He has a pint of it. You know where to put it. Well, if it's good enough for James Bond, you know what, Mr. B. Moore of Shepton Mallet, it's good enough for you. Liam Davey was a friend of mine at Hawksmoor. He was the one who introduced me to the term brosé. I know it has some common currency now, but men drinking rosé, brosé. That's the way forwards. This could be a brosé. This is new to me, and I only just discovered it. It is called Chateau Routas 2019. This For me, now I think that this I would describe as a peach. That's peach, not melon. This Cockburns of Leith up in Scotland. This is made by a guy called Keith Murray. Hello, Keith. How nice to see you. Oh, well, I can't see you. You can see me. This is the second time I've had this. It's quite new to me. This is the best value rosé, I think, in Britain right now. From Provence, certainly. £9.50. I'm going to pin my colours on that mast. I think this is Britain's best value Provençal rosé. Aromatic, fresh, juicy, peachy. It's from quite near Saint-Tropez. It's less herbal than some of them, which I like. It's got more fruit and a ripe, rich fruit to it. There's lots going on. There is none of that. There are a few rosés from Provence which can be a bit watery. This one is the total opposite. There's an intensity to this strawberry, peachy fruit. Oh, that is really good. Wild strawberries in that. Now, Keith's dad, I've always got these weird connections, is Sir David Murray, and the first time I was a wine consultant was when Sir David Murray owned Rangers Football Club. And, now you might imagine, name like mine, Fattorini, we are Roman Catholics. I know this is, sectarianism was back in the day. This was a long time ago in Glasgow. But it was around the time that Paul Gaza Gascoigne was playing for Rangers. And we did all the wines, and it ended up in the Glasgow Herald because Tom Shields, great writer, he wrote a piece about how Glasgow Rangers had a new Catholic signing. So it was not long after Mo Johnson, for anybody who's really into sort of 80s, early 90s Glasgow football chat. But, it was not long, and he said, oh, there's a new Catholic signing for Glasgow Rangers. And it was me, because I'd signed all the wine lists in the director's box, including for Sir David Murray. Son Keith makes this. There you go. Very obscure roundabout connection. So go and buy some Routas at Cockburns of Leith. That is really... I mean, I love them all, but for the money... Ooh. I've got to finish some of these because I need the glasses again. Glasses from Jancis Robinson and Richard Brendan. Go and visit our website and click through and buy some. I cannot recommend these enough. Now, you might just see in this, there's a slight spritz. This is Villa Wolf Pinot Noir Rosé 2018. Now, there's a funny thing about this. You get this corks out, Field and Fawcett, Bon Cœur and J&N wine, about 10, 12 quid. Off dry. It's off dry. Sweet. Not sweet, but it's not bone dry. And there's a lot of you have written in saying, I like a little bit of sweetness in my wine. Particularly people with hypersensitive palates, if you find coffee kind of difficult. That is your cup of tea. And really nice with sort of spicy dishes. If you're having some, I don't know, spicy prawns on a barbecue, whilst isolating with your family, that is the sort of thing you're going to absolutely love. Don't put lots and lots of ice in this, because you want to enjoy that sweetness. You want to enjoy it as it's a more gastronomic rosé, I think. It's still zesty. It's still sort of bright. Now, it's Pinot Noir, so it's a bit more cherryish with the fruit. Cherries and raspberries rather than very, very strawberryish, I would have said, in that. And it's there's a little bit more of a glow afterwards, but it's just a touch of sugar, just to give it a bit of a lift. That is a little gem for anybody who likes them off dry. Now, we've got a few gastronomic rosés here. I'm going to put this one to one side. There we go. Because £14... from Sommelier's Choice. Remember, we mentioned there was Tim. Hello, Tim. Nice to see you. This is made by my great friend Artur. Here's Artur, remember, with the donkey. Remember, the donkey's name is Arinto, and he's a very special donkey. Now, this is very pale. It's a very, very delicate colour. And I tell you where I get the colours from. It's from this book here by Elizabeth Gabay, Rosé. Now, in the old days, you'd have thought rosé was a bit of a flibbity-gibbet wine. Now, it's got a rosé that thick, or a book that thick, all about it. And on the back page, it's got colours here. And this one, I'm going to go with pomelo. Pomelo. We've had peach and we've had melon. We haven't had any mong, presume that's mango. But we are going to go and have some mandarin in a little minute. So it's very pale. Now, I think it says here, what's it made with? It's made with Castellan, Touriga Nacional and Syrah, which means, although it's very pale, It's quite savoury fruits in this. There's a sort of red wine feel without the tannin. It's red winey fruit. I mean, it's deceptive because it's such a pale, delicate colour, and yet it's mouth-filling. If you had this in a blue glass, famous sort of blue glass tastings where you can't see, you would be there going, I think this is a red, because there's a spice to it that comes through from that Syrah. Remember, Touriga Nacional, one of the big grape varieties in port. This is not in any way porty, but it makes this very intense, dark, rich wine. And here, it's still drawing out some of that character. There's a long glow that comes through. That's a real cracker. That'll be an interesting one if you're having an interesting dinner party. I'll go and serve that. Do I have any recommendations here? Sardines, garlicky sardines. I've had this with garlicky sardines at a party. Oh, that's really nice. With a spicy butter. Quinta de Esperança Rosé. Now, how much is that? £14. Sommelier's choice. That is really, really good. Now, I'm going to clear those out. I'm rattling through them today. We're quite busy. We've got a lot to go and try. Got a lot on. So, 1, 2. New press. I've revisited some people who've been on the show before, but we haven't tried their rosé, and I thought I'd save them up. So a bit like Quinta de Esperança. New press, Pinot Rosé. Now, we've already had a Pinot Noir Rosé, which was the Villa Wolf. I suspect this is very different. This is from New Zealand. Give that a swirl. Like that. 2019. Hello, Melanie. Mel Brown. Oh, it's like Blue Peter. It's all gone wrong. An elephant's going to sit on my foot, and there'll be something that'll do a wee on me. It's a very British children's TV reference for anybody in the United States, of whom we've got a few people who are going to go and get in touch, actually. Vim, vigour. This is citrusy. This is actually like mandarin oranges and things, and grapefruit. So suddenly we've gone away from kind of red fruits to a much more citrusy, it's not lemon, it is orange fruits. So yeah, citrus, bit nectarine, but very grapefruity. And also there's a bit more heft here. And you know what? Rosé and hamburgers. Surprising choice. Lots of people think, oh, you should go and have all sorts of olives. If you're outside, rosé and a hamburger is really nice. And I discovered there's a row about who invented the hamburger. There's a guy called Fletcher who reckons he invented them in the 1880s in Texas. Was it in Austin, Texas? I have a great friend who's a sommelier. Well, I have a new friend who's a sommelier in Austin, Texas. Hello, nice to see you. But I think the real inventor was Albert Ballin. And he was the inventor of the cruise liner. He was a guy from Hamburg. This is the story. I think I can get this right. If you ever see a Hapag-Lloyd container on the back of a truck, that was his business. It's the Hamburg Amerikanisch Packetfahrt Aktiengesellschaft. That's what Hapag stands for. Very niche knowledge there. I remember revising that, remembering it because I really liked packet fart. So he was shipping during the First World War. He was helping transport lots of people. He was Jewish, and he was transporting a lot of Jewish people across the United States that were seeking refuge there. And he needed something cheap to feed them, and he came up with, and because he came from Hamburg, he came up with this sandwich which had a burger in the middle. 2 pieces of bread, and he called it the Hamburg because he was from Hamburg. And then it was awfully tragic because at the end of the First World War, the Kaiser died and he committed suicide because he felt that Germany was no place for Jewish people afterwards. I think that was kind of how it worked. But he was an extraordinary character, and he created this notion of going on a cruise for the pleasure of it, not just to get somewhere. I like to think that Albert Ballin was the inventor of the Hamburg, not that dude in Texas. That's where I'm going. And I think that will go really well with an Albert, so raise a glass to Albert Ballin. If his next, it's spelt Ballin, but he pronounced it Ballin. And if he's watching, Harry Ballin was at school with me. And if you're in Windsor, go to one of his auctions. He sells wine, actually, Harry. He's a good character. Good to see you, Harry. I must come out and visit you after this is all gone and done and dusted. Sorry, this shouldn't really be me for get in touch with my old school friends. But Harry and I were good pals, and we still are, and he's a right old character. Don't drink so much, Harry. You need to lose a bit of weight. We all know that. Right, what we got next? Coming up, Garage Old Vine Pale Lot 83 Rosé. I'm just going to go and have a little bit of this because this is not Lot 83. This is made by my friend Derek Mossman-Knapp. Oh, those labels amazing. And he is in season 1 of the wine show. We go and visit him in Maule, in Chile. And he's the mad Canadian and the earthquake story. Remember? Total lunatic you are. Now, this is an older vintage of his Old Vine Pale. Just going to give that a whirl. So it's got an odd colour, but Derek and I have both got sort of old vintages of his wines. And even this, now, Rosé, look at the colour of that. This, I think we're getting, is this a red? Is it a white? A Rosé? I don't know. This is like serious wine. This is interesting. It's Carignan, I think, isn't it? Is it Old Vine Carignan? Yeah, it is. Old Vine Carignan and Garnacha. And Mataro. So Carignan, Garnacha, Mataro. Rosés can age. And this is one of them. This has evolved into interesting fig characters. And there is sort of dried fruit that comes through, but it's a bit Fig Newton. John Graves, if you're watching, Fig Newtons, get a call out on this show. But yeah, it is sort of Figgy Newton. It's long. There's an interest around it. Now, why not? Vigna Tondonia. I might put a picture up of Vigna Tondonia, old rosé. I used to sell that. It's very hard to get hold of. Is matured, old, wood-aged rosé. And rosé can age well over time, but it's got to be the right sort. This is one of them. So this is a 2015. Yeah, this is lot 53. Every one of Derek's sort of wines gets a new lot number. So that was 53. He's now on 80. Does it say 83? So you can get lot 83, £14.79. Allaboutwine.co.uk. But if you want to get it nearer you, get in touch with Walker and Woodhouse. Go and visit Walker and Woodhouse. They're the agents for this. They'll go and get you some nearby. I like that a lot. Right, carry on, Joe. Otherwise you're going to get behind. Anybody wondering? This is a Coravin. So what it's doing, I don't know if we've mentioned this once or twice in the past, the idea is that it's injecting a bit of argon into the bottle through that needle, and then, I didn't sparge it actually, which I meant to, which means I can keep that wine for ages. So I'll probably keep that for another couple of years actually. It'll be fine. And it works through, it says, I need to go on SAS Who Dares Wins Celebrity. It works on these wax tops. And this we had before. So this is Westwell. You can get this. It's £18.50. You can get it from Uncharted Wines. Hello, Rupert. And from Westwell themselves. This is an English wine. Wow. And this is 2 Pinot Noirs. There are a couple because there's an Ortega that they make as well. So this is Pinot Noir Clone 667, which I know is quite a chunky one, isn't it? And there's 100 kilos of that. And then they've got Pinot Meunier, or just Meunier, I think we're meant to call it these days, which is Clone 977, 400 kilos. And it was harvested on October the 13th in 2018. And it tells you all the sort of details and bits and pieces. Isn't that a gorgeous label? That is a lovely colour. I think I'm going to call that Pomelo again. And this is very different. Bright red cherry. Really bone dry, and there's a very vivacious acidity to this in a good way, but you want to go and have some nice seafood. Pink food, like a lobster. You can. I'm more of a crab person, actually. There is an old rule that you should go and have pink food with pink wine. Not a rule, but a sort of guide. Have pink food with pink wine. That would be gorgeous. Right, we've massively overrun today because it's such a long thing. A couple of questions. Shall I do any? I might even save the questions for Friday. We've got one or two. Jessie, the first time I've tuned in. Hello, Jessie. You're tuning in. I live on YouTube, not TV, so see you all on Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Nice to see you. You've no idea what's going on. Not the only one. Being a complete novice, and you thought wine was Lambrini and Hock from a box. But this is your new hobby because you've been looking for something to learn. Well, welcome. We will try and give you some answers, but on today's show, they may be limited. All the other questions I'm going to come back to on Friday, which is a South African special. So looking forward, and it's really important that you come back on Friday because it's a very, very important story. Right, enjoy some rosé. All the wines are down here. Look down there, they're all in there. Subscribe to us here. Go and get our newsletter because we're going to include it. We will send one out. Somebody was asking about that the other day. And I don't know, like and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And follow me because there's daft pictures of my dog. All right, speak to you soon. See you on Friday. Come back. Come back.